from where the news comes first. This is News Channel 2 live at 5 News Hour.
Tonight at 5, we're getting our first look at the man accused of calling in a threat to a local school.
Also tonight, ready for anything. Law enforcement from around the world join our military right in Oriskany for training this week.
And a major step is taken to help develop Utica's Harbor Point. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kristen Copeland.
I'm Jason Powles. We're going to get to all those stories in just a minute. But first, we know you're watching for what the weather is about to do or doing right now. We are under a tornado watch.
Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis is going to keep us updated on what's happening throughout this broadcast and the rest of this evening. And it is going to be one of those newscasts where if Bill gives us the signal, we're going to stop what we're doing and get you right over to the Weather Center because this is developing.
And we're going to be all over it tonight. Hopefully there won't be much to talk about, but unfortunately the way things are trending right now, it's not looking to be the case. First of all, let's address what's happening now. We do have some severe weather to the west. In our area, things are looking okay, but that window is going to close pretty quickly. We have a tornado watch in effect for all the counties in the WKTV viewing area, including Oneida, Herkimer, Otsego, Madison, Shenango, Lewis, and Hamilton counties. This runs until 11 o'clock, but it's really the next several hours that we're most concerned about. And just a reminder, a tornado watch doesn't mean we have tornadoes yet, but the conditions are favorable out there. We have what's called wind shear in the atmosphere, twisting of winds with height. And as these storms move into that environment, they have the potential of producing some damaging winds and rotation. We have some storms to the west, some very strong storms approaching the Syracuse region. These storms have a history of rotation, but so far, they're not to that level where there's any tornado warnings. But we are going to keep an eye on things. Those storms will be moving through our area over the next 1 to 3 hours. And we're going to continue to stay on edge here and continue to watch this as we head into this evening. Thunderstorms are expected, temperatures in the 70s. Again, we'll continue to update you throughout the newscast. Look at that forecast coming up. Kristen, back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. Well, we still have electricity. This is what you need to do right now. Get a flashlight and a battery-operated radio ready. Remember, we are on 100.7 FM during the Live at 5 News Hour. Charge your phone now while you do have electricity, and keep food that doesn't have to be cooked on hand. That said, you want to make sure your refrigerator and freezer doors stay closed. Also, this is a big one. Know how to manually open your garage if you have to.
That's a good point right there. And if there is a downed power line, just stay away from it. If one falls on your car, stay inside and wait for help. And if you have a generator, make sure you keep it outside and use caution when driving around utility crews.
State police have arrested an Oneida man they say threatened a local school.
31-year-old Jace McMullen is charged with making a terroristic threat. State police say Durhamville Elementary School in the Oneida School District went on lockdown at the end of school yesterday, after the school got a call from a man who made threats towards a staff member. He was arraigned today and is being held in the Oneida County Jail. The Oneida City School Superintendent says, quote, "We understand that situations like these can be emotional for students, parents, and staff alike. The safety of our students and staff is our top priority, and we will continue to partner with the community and law enforcement to ensure we maintain a safe and orderly school environment."
From exploding ATMs to attacks on drones to hostage situations, our military, along with law enforcement from around the world, are training to respond right in Oriskany. It's the 2022 Ravens Challenge, happening this week at the State Preparedness Training Center. That's where we find News Channel 2's Jolene Ferris.
Members of the U.S. military plus law enforcement from all over the world are training this week right at the State Preparedness Training Center in Oriskany for scenarios they hope never happen.
What we're trying to do always when we bring law enforcement teams here is we're trying to make their training as realistic as possible, because when you're in a high stress environment with a lot going on, it's important that your training has replicated that environment.
The center used to be able to accommodate 6 to 8 teams. Today, that number has risen to 18, and today specifically, there are 18 scenarios being played out for training purposes. One is the emergent problem of ATM attacks.
Their goal is to use explosives to get access to the cash. They're spending very little time on scene.
The trainers say there's no better place to train on how to handle this explosive and emergent problem.
It's the only place in the United States that I have found where we're doing realistic live fire joint training with federal, state, local, international partners to address the explosive attacks on ATMs.
Other scenarios today included hostage situations and attacks on drones.
Every year, the U.S. industry pushes the bounds of the technology, so you get better aircraft that perform to a higher standard, able to fly longer, higher, faster, and carry heavier payloads. And so people are able to exploit that capability to conduct bigger and better weaponized U.S. attacks.
One of the most important things they'll do here today, make sure when the real thing happens, it's not the first time all of these state, local, federal law enforcement and military members work together to defuse it. Jolene Ferris, News Channel 2.
While at the State Training Center, we checked, and the unused New York State hand sanitizer is still sitting on the tarmac, more than 700,000 gallons. We first broke this story a month ago. State Senator Joe Griffo today tells News Channel 2 that he's reached out to the governor, urging her to do something about this. Griffo says he spoke with a local professor about alternative uses for the hand sanitizer, including using waste to energy conversion to turn it into heat or electricity. Governor Hochul hasn't gotten back to him. Ex-Governor Cuomo is the one who ordered the production of it.
Well, it happened. The Utica Rome average for gas strikes $5 a gallon. That's according to the AAA fuel gauge. We're holding at $4.99 for a couple of days. Herkimer and Otsego County, well, they're averaging now $5.01 per gallon. New York State has suspended its gas tax to try and provide some relief, but Attorney General Letitia James says she's cracking down on gas stations that are not complying. We have a link at WKTV.com if you want to file a complaint. The gas tax holiday expires December 31st. Oneida County's suspension ends November 30th.
The city of Utica has formally taken ownership of the 1933 building and land from the State Canal Corporation, which has been a necessary step in the development of Harbor Point. That announcement came today, and it was a long time coming. In 2008, Governor David Patterson signed legislation that allowed for the transfer of about 15 acres of state land around the Utica Harbor. Demolition of 2 buildings starts Monday. Roads and infrastructure are expected this year, and the mayor of Utica says we will see activity on the waterfront next year. The city is in talks with the developers.
When you want to attract people to work here, live here, play here, you have to give them the amenities. That's important. And the Nexus Center is strong, the auditorium is strong. A new hospital certainly is. As you're progressing, you need all these components to bring these jobs, the developers into the area. Wolf Speed is just another strong sign of a developer looking at a city, at a region that is moving forward.
Over the years, we've heard plans for restaurants, marina services, and an amphitheater. The mayor wouldn't give any hints today, but says a water park could be part of Phase 2.
To Washington now, and the January 6th committee hearing today focused on former Vice President Pence and Donald Trump's efforts to pressure him into overturning the 2020 election. Susan McGinnis has a full wrap-up of an explosive day on Capitol Hill.
The Vice President's General Counsel.
Today, the January 6th committee focused on former Vice President Mike Pence, laying out its case that Donald Trump and his team pressured Pence to overturn the 2020 election.
Mike Pence, I hope you're going to stand up for the good of our Constitution and for the good of our country. And if you're not, I'm going to be very disappointed in you.
An effort that contributed to the Capitol insurrection and put Pence's life in danger.
I'm hearing reports that Pence caved. I'm telling you, if Pence caved, we're going to drag through the streets.
Bring out Pence!
Bring him out!
Bring out Pence!
Refusing to call off the riot, the committee says Trump responded to the chants, "Maybe our supporters have the right idea. Pence deserves it." The committee showing Pence being rushed from the Senate floor, this following a Trump tweet saying Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done. The Capitol attack, the panel says, a consequence of a fringe theory pushed by Trump attorney John Eastman and embraced by Trump, that Pence had the authority to reject certified electors and keep Trump in power.
I had no right to overturn the election.
Pence rejecting the notion.
The vice president's first instinct on that point. There is no justifiable basis to conclude that the vice president has that kind of authority.
Witnesses today debunking the idea, but Donald Trump continued to push Pence.
When Mike Pence made it clear that he wouldn't give in to Donald Trump's scheme, Donald Trump turned the mob on him.
The committee portraying that Pence, loyal to Trump for years, broke with him that day to uphold the Constitution and defend democracy. Susan McGinnis, NBC News, Washington.
It is a Storm Tracker 2 alert day. We're going to get you back to the Weather Center right after the break.
Plus, plans to open a satellite store bring Mazzaferro's Meat and Deli back to its roots. We go inside so you know what to expect.
The DEC finishes improvements on the Chittning Pond after having concerns the dam might not survive significant storms.
You're watching the Live at 5 News Hour with Kristen Copeland, Jason Pallas, and weather with Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis. News Channel 2, where the news comes first. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We are continuing to track strong storms to the west with several severe thunderstorm warnings in the Syracuse region. A tornado watch remains in effect for Central New York as we head into 11 o'clock this evening. Let's take a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. At the moment, we don't have any warnings in our area. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning for northern Lewis County. That is north of Lowville. But our area is right on the edge of some very strong storms in the Syracuse region. There's a lot of lightning. There have been reports of some small hail and wind damage out towards the Syracuse region. But the thing that we've been watching really closely is the wind in these storms, because like we mentioned before, the environment favors rotating storms. And so what we're doing here is we've switched the radar over to something called the velocity scan. And what we're looking at here is where are these storms spinning? When you see red and green next to each other, that indicates rotation. And there's some weak rotation taking place in a few of these storms. One is just to the west of Syracuse, and then a stronger circulation even further to the west. Again, those are outside of our area, but these are things that we are watching because the bigger picture, as we time these storms out and as we track these storms, a lot of these are going to be lifting to the north and east. So this line is expected to head east and move into our region. We're hoping that some of this weakens before it gets here, but the information that we have this evening doesn't suggest that they're going to weaken fast enough. So again, that's why we're going to be on guard. We're going to be cautious here. Again, we're all about preparation. We're not trying to cause any panic. We're going to continue to follow these storms to the west and keep you updated. If anything does develop or move into our region, if any strong weather does arrive, we will pass that information along in a timely fashion. This is a live look at our Cal V Tower Cam. And again, at the moment, things are looking okay. Again, we're going to continue to track those storms here as we head into this evening. Most of this activity is around for the next several hours. This is Skycast at 7 p.m. Again, this is just model data. It just gives us an idea of where these storms could be around 7 o'clock. The suggestion is that the severe weather threat does come to an end pretty quickly. After, say, 9, 10 o'clock, we should be in the clear. It'll be a warm night, but things do dry out as we head into tomorrow morning. And just a passing shower is expected tomorrow with breezy conditions and sunshine and temperatures in the 70s. Tonight, thunderstorms come to an end, a low of 64. Tomorrow, we're looking at a passing shower, temperature of 77. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. It's going to be a lot cooler here as we head into the weekend. High temperatures only in the 60s Saturday and Sunday. Father's Day looks dry, but we could have a passing shower Saturday. Monday, sunshine 72, and then some warmer weather along with some showers and storms here by Wednesday and Thursday. And coming up in a few minutes, we're going to have a reminder of the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning, and if things should escalate, we hope that they don't, what to do in the case of a tornado warning.
Bill, thank you.
Well, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has completed improvements at Chittning Pond in Sangerfield.
News Channel 2's Kirk Tupai tells us what the changes are and why they were necessary.
There's a small fishing area located in the Woodford Memorial State Forest called Chittning Pond. The 60-year-old dam that holds the water in the pond was in need of repairs, so the Department of Environmental Conservation commissioned the work to begin about a year ago.
We recognize that the dike and the embankment, the dam here on the pond, was in a state of disrepair and needed to put some resources into solving some long-term problems. So we had to clear vegetation, increase the sort of shoreline protections and putting stone and revetments down, and improving some of the sluiceways to allow water to safely exit the pond itself.
State and local representatives cut a ribbon to officially reopen the pond. The improvements included a new fishing pier and spillway. The project came in at about $1.5 million, but DEC Commissioner Basil Sagos says the pond will last for generations with better accessibility.
Anytime we make investments in recreation resources outside, we know that we need to start and finish the work quickly so that people can get back out to enjoy nature. This pond is an important recreation resource for the people in Oneida County.
The water level in the pond had to be lowered during the work phase, but the efforts here will now make a difference downstream.
The system also provides some downstream flood controls. That's important. We've seen more intense storms in the last few years that have really significantly impacted communities all across Western New York, Northern New York, all across the state, frankly. So we need to make sure we're making the investments in those flood control structures so that communities are protected, and then we also get the benefits of recreation as a result.
You can find Chittning Pond on the north side of State Route 20, roughly halfway between Bridgewater and Sangerfield. In the town of Sangerfield, I'm Kirk Tupai reporting for News Channel 2.